if somebody's on this consultation call with you, they intuitively know, and you'll say it out loud, but they'll intuitively know there's going to be an investment to work with you. Feel comfortable that they already give them that much credit that they're already going to know they're going to make an investment. Obviously, they don't know the details yet, not until we go through the presentation here. They're not going to know the details yet. However, it's important that you take them through the process that I'm getting ready to show you. All right, so we're gonna go through it one by one. There's 4 parts, and I made it all rhyme, so it makes it easy to remember. Okay. All right. So the very first one, everybody write this down, is relation. Relation. First part is relation. Coach T, what you mean by relation? Relation in terms of when you first have a conversation with somebody, you got to remember what we do. This is not a cold call, right? Cold call is you just calling somebody up and you just having essentially trying to sell them. It's not a cold call. This is what we call a warm lead, right? So as a warm lead calling in, they already going to have some level of familiarity with you, which is to your advantage. So the very first thing when you get on a call with somebody is build some rapport. And it don't have to be long, maybe 1-2 minutes. Build rapport with them. Usually, how I build rapport is I'll say something like, hey, is this Vincito? Hey, what's going on? It's Terrell, Coach T. How you doing today? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, right? And then I like to talk about location because it's just something light, just to kind of build the rapport. And so I'll say something to the effect of, where you calling from? Hey, I'm calling from, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Well, it don't matter where they're calling from, right? And then I'll say something like, okay, cool. I'm in New York City. You ever been? And sometimes they say, it really doesn't matter what the answer is. I'm kind of just having, right? I kind of have like a script. If they say yes, if they say no, then I'll say, hey, you gotta put it on the bucket list to come, right? Or if they say yes, I'm like, cool, that's what's up. Glad you was able to come through. Something super simple. You don't have to necessarily do that, but whatever it is, you could talk about the weather or whatever, right? But I like to kind of just keep it light, and because you don't want to change the mood. If it's somebody could jump into something deep, and now you're talking about that instead of really helping serve them in the way that you should be serving them. So that's the first thing is rapport. All right. Now, next, do the overview. So you'll do the overview of the call. So I'll say, all right, cool. Well, let me tell you how we're going to do this call. I'm going to give you like 2 slight variations. So if you know our process, you can either do a 1 call close or a 2 call close. A 1 call close is, how you have a conversation with somebody, let's say text, let's say DM or wherever you're having a conversation with them, they book a call. If you're doing 1 call closing right now, that means essentially they have an opportunity to purchase at the end of the call, which is typically about a 45-minute to an hour call. If you're doing, which is going to be this call. But you can also have a 2 call close, which is, and we talked about this in a previous training, I think maybe about a month ago, where you have more of a qualification call first for about 15 minutes, asking them questions. And then on the second call, now you'll go through, that's the longer call because you're qualified. So typically what I'll say is, this is how we'll do this call. I still have our notes from the last call because I just like to acknowledge that we had a first call. All right. And then there's another piece before you jump in to the next part is, do you feel comfortable making an investment today? I like to ask this question or some variation of this, because you have some people who are window shopping. You have some people who are not in a position to make an investment. And to be real, you don't want to spend an hour with somebody if they're not ready. Right? It ain't good or bad. Sometimes people just calling just to get information, and you don't want to invest your time in that. When you're ready, let's have the conversation and you can get the information at that time, right? I don't say that to them, but you know what I mean? But that's really what I'm thinking is that, okay, cool. It's not the right time. Let's schedule something else. So I'll say something to the effect of, okay, cool. And before we dive in, if this is exactly what you're looking for to help you reach your goals and whatever you do, whether they're on the phone with you, your relationship goals, your business goals, your personal development goals, do you feel comfortable making an investment today? And the operative word here is today. All right. Now, that's the first part. Number 2, write this down. Qualification. This is the second part of the call. Qualification. And by the way, this whole process is called, put at the top, it's called the client conversion script. So the very first question the very first thing I want us to all look for is, what is the challenge? People do not sign up for coaching programs if there is not a challenge. You have to have them clearly identify a challenge. I always get bit in the ass every time I go through a conversation and I don't clearly have a problem that's defined. Oh, I've kind of been thinking about this, or, I've kind of been wondering about that, and if I don't have a clear problem, a challenge, I can't even think of an example right now where somebody has signed up as a client because they don't have a problem, so they don't feel like they don't feel a sense of urgency to take action, right? So very first thing is you want to find a problem. You must find a problem. So what I like to ask is, well, okay, Vincito, talk to me about what's the number one challenge, that you're facing in your business, life, wherever, right? Whatever your niche is. What's the number one challenge you're faced with right now? So now you have the challenge. You say, okay, well, let's kind of see where you're at right now. Current reality. Let's see where you're at right now. So I like to ask questions that's relevant to their current status. So if you're helping people, let's just say with mindset, then you might say, okay, well, currently, tell me about, currently tell me about like your mindset or your approach to life right now. What are some of the things that go through your mind? Or, tell me currently about your job status right now, your job situation right now. Like, what do you do? Who do you work for? What position are you in, right? So you want to get a full scope of what's happening right now. How I do it when I'm talking to coaches is I might say something like, all right, well, tell me right now, do you currently have a product or offer right now? Okay, are you currently on social media? Like, are you posting actively? Do you have leads? Are you generating leads each month? Or do you have any clients right now, right? You just literally getting whatever their current reality is, right? You got to effectively help somebody. You got to know where they're at today. And then we're going to go through their 1-year goals. So I usually like to say a 1-year goal, right? So I would like to say, all right, so if we were to start working together today, that's key. If we were to start working together today, where do you see your business in a year? Or where do you see yourself in a year? Right? So you can ask that. If what you're helping them achieve in terms of outcome is related to revenue, then you can also throw on top of that question, how much revenue would you like to be generating in a year? I like to add, how much monthly revenue would you like to generate? Because sometimes if you just do annual goals, it's just kind of, I like to make it more practical, which is why I talk more about monthly goals than annual. But I would like to say, okay, well, what's your revenue goal? How much money do you want to make a year from today? Or where do you see yourself in a year? So whatever is relevant to your niche, you want to ask them that. Does that make sense? So y'all want to be able to do that. Just give me a yes in the chat, so I know y'all get what I'm saying. All right, so 1-year goal, and then we circle back to the challenges. So then I'll start asking deeper questions about the challenge. So I'll say, okay, so that's what you want to achieve in a year. All right, so let's go back to what you mentioned earlier let's go back to what you mentioned earlier in terms of, you not being able to get clients. So I want to ask you a question about that. And usually I'll go deeper about the question. And I'll say, okay, tell me more about what you're doing right now that isn't working, or what's happening, which is why you're not getting clients. So I like to ask a deeper question about whatever the number one challenge is.